Hey guys, Hades here, and today we're going to look at subcultures. I talked about them briefly in my U.S. culture series in the culture series. You can find it. You might want to check that out first, but today we're exclusively looking at subcultures. What is a subculture? What is the difference between a national culture and a subculture? We've actually already discussed this in the U.S. culture series, but we'll talk more about this today. A subculture is a culture within a culture. Because of the root word sub, it often means to be below or beneath or not equal to. Other names are used. Honestly, I just use the word subculture. Any subculture I might be a part of, I'm not offended that it's called a subculture. But today, a lot of people might get offended at things. So some people refer to them as a minority culture or a microculture. Some people relate more to their subculture than they do to their national or ethnic culture. That is especially true in immigrant countries like the U.S., right, where there's lots of different people from all over the world. And they might relate more to the people they're near than to the national culture. Subcultures can be based on religion, almost any beliefs, interests, sexual behaviors, physical differences or similarities, or anything that the person identifies with in the subculture. Are you familiar with any subcultures? All of you probably belong to one or more subcultures and may not even look at it as like it's a subculture. Keep in mind you ought to include it as part of your lifestyle and not only just an interest for it to be a subculture. Okay, let's look at sports a little bit. Many people are part of a sports subculture. Athletes who play sports can probably identify with their subculture quite easily. But it becomes a little different for fans, right? You might be a fan of sports but not really part of a subculture, or you might be a fan of sports and be part of that subculture. Someone who enjoys occasionally watching sports on TV might not belong to a sports subculture. However, a sports fan who goes to sporting events regularly, who talks often about it, spends time with other sports fans, is probably part of that sports subculture. Right? If it's part of your lifestyle, a significant part of your lifestyle, it can be a subculture. I'll give you an example. Jason reads about history in his spare time. Jason is me, Hades. But he doesn't really attend historical events. He doesn't often spend time discussing history with others. He is probably not in a history subculture, right? I find history interesting, but I would not identify that as a subculture of mine. You could have interests that don't make you part of a subculture. Another example, Jason goes hiking. While hiking, Jason spends a great deal of time associating with other hikers. Jason started a WeChat group about his hiking and has hiked 566 miles of the PCT. I was probably part of the hiking subculture at a time. I'm not really anymore. Even though on my other channel you'll see me hiking, so I might be again. So if it's part of your lifestyle, a significant part of your lifestyle, it is a subculture. Religion can be considered a subculture. But keep in mind, it could also be considered part of the national culture. If most of the people in your country are the same religion, it might not be a subculture. It might be part of your national culture. And I don't think we've talked, I have another PowerPoint on religion and mythology, but I haven't talked about it on this channel yet. Do you know what the big 5 religions are? The big 5, meaning, I'm not saying smaller religions aren't as important, but these are the big ones that most of the world's population belongs to one of these 5. Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Judaism. Those are the big five. And of course, right, there's lots of different versions of these as you get in closer. And some people, for example, let's look at Buddhism. Some people study Buddhism and don't consider it a religion. They look at it more as a philosophy, whereas others look at it as a religion, right? And the one I'm most familiar with is Christianity, because I'm from the U.S. and most people are Christian in the U.S. There's lots of different sects of Christianity, lots of different types of Christianity, where they believe slightly different versions of things. But those are the big five. Many people associate so strongly with their religion that it is a subculture. Some people identify more strongly with their religious culture than they do with their national culture. And again, sometimes religion is part of your national culture, especially in certain countries where almost everyone is of the same religion. Whereas in maybe immigrant countries like the U.S., even though most people are Christian, some of them believe more heavily in it and would be considered part of a subculture. And again, it's not, it sometimes can be part of the national culture as well for certain countries. What subcultures do you identify with? What subculture do you consider yourself to be a part of? What is a foodie? Is there a foodie subculture? And are you part of a foodie subculture? A foodie is a new term that basically describes someone who likes to eat. Look, I think it's a little silly. Most people like to eat, and they often pick foods to their tastes. You know, but people have to eat. They need to eat to stay alive, right? So, yeah, I love to sleep, but I don't call myself a sleepy. People like to sleep, but we don't call them sleepies, do we? No, we don't. If you think you are a foodie, that doesn't necessarily mean you are part of a subculture. However, if you associate with other foodies on a regular basis and consider the fact that you like food a big part of defining your personality and your life, you might be part of a foodie subculture. Again, everyone eats food, right? Almost everyone likes to eat food. And it's something we need to do to survive. So that's why this is a relatively new thing. I guess it could be a subculture if you like to go out, spend time eating, talking about food, taking pictures, posting the pictures of your food to your friends. I guess maybe you could be part of a foodie subculture. Can you think of any other subcultures? Do you like music? What sort of music do you like? Can music be a subculture? I would say outside of religion, music is probably the strongest subculture. Many people identify with certain types of music and often develop lifestyles around those types of music. What kind of music do you like? What is a hesher? A hesher is a person who listens to heavy metal music and embraces the lifestyle of that type of music. Other names for heshers are rockers and metalheads. Is Hades a hesher? Yes, and maybe no. I like rock music and I like heavy metal music. And I think when I was younger, I definitely identified as being a Hesher. But I don't like to allow the music I listen to define me, so maybe I'm a former Hesher. Uh, it's hard to say. Sometimes I'll get in a mood and really, like to talk to other people about Iron Maiden or some of the bands I like. So it's hard to say if I'm still a Hesher. I definitely used to be, and I definitely still like this kind of music. What other types of music have subcultures? Punk rock is definitely a subculture. Hip hop, and we used to call rap. I haven't heard people call it rap music in a long time. Country music can be a subculture. Rave, grunge. Music subcultures tend to dissipate as one gets older, but can be very important for younger people, and then again, some older people too. It really varies. And again, if you, let's say you really love hip hop, but you don't let it define your life, and you maybe don't hang out with other people who like it so much, maybe it's not a subculture for you. I found online, I don't know much about these. I found them online, some unusual music subcultures. Renegade is African heavy metal bikers. Yeah, I've never met anyone like that. And this next one, these Swedish rockabilly rebels, regare maybe, I don't know how to pronounce it, right? I've never, again, met anyone like that. And Japanese greasers, rockabilly people from Japan. Rivet heads are industrial music fans. And juggalos, people who like Insane Clown Posse and they dress up as clowns. They refer to themselves as juggalos. So these are some very different and unique music subcultures. And I'm sure there are many, many more. Goth was a big one. There still are people around like this. They're named after the historical Gothic people of Eastern Germany. And they are another subculture. They wear black, try to look pale, often wear period clothing, listen to music other people consider dark, and tend to find beauty in things others don't. A lot of them, I wouldn't say all of them, a lot of them are into vampires or vampire lore. And they might refer to themselves as vampires. Again, that might be a subculture within goth. Okay, I'm going to divide this up into 2 lessons. So I think we're done with the first half. Here's what we're going to look at next time. And I'll probably release the second video just a few days after the first one. If you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments. If you disagree with anything I said, let me know in the comments. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it, and we'll finish this up next time. All right, bye-bye.